I'm sure that was maybe a bit of a shock for some of you and maybe an emotional jolt to some of you. Not as much for me because I do this every week. Every week I find something that she's done and watch. So I just keep watching all of this stuff. And talk about being free. This has been a very, very challenging week for me. One of my best friends in the world, who was a touchstone for me in New York City, passed away unexpectedly with complications from the COVID virus. And that just really stopped me in my tracks on Thursday when this happened. And what I realized was I had just done a spirit breath meditation, and the spirit breath meditation was on self-love. And so I just spent 45 minutes in self-love, and I just was like on this cloud of positive understanding of what love is and who I am. And I stepped into my office to do something that was important to do. One of our members at the center lost her son this week, and he made his transition at 19. And so I was about to send a text to her for that morning, which was the morning he was passing. And I went to pick my texts up, and right there was the text saying that my friend Robin had passed. And I, standing there in that moment, all science of mind floating through my head, knowing the truth, knowing what death is, knowing what life is, knowing the thin veil between the two, knowing everything I know, I still just cracked open. And I was just unprepared for this particular news. And in having just come off of self-love, I did what any religious scientist should do: take some time to actually remember the truth. So I canceled my entire day and spent the whole day again pretty much doing nothing, I would say. Nothing but reminding myself what I was feeling, allowing myself to feel it. So the title of my talk today is The Freedom to Dream. That song was called Dreamin' by Rayleigh Nicole. And this whole song, the lyrics of this song, is a whole lesson on the science of mind. And one thing I have learned is that the science of mind, as Reverend Connie said earlier, it's a philosophy. It is a practical way of living. And I can face anything when I understand the science of mind. Now, not just understand it critically, not just understand it in my mind, understand it in my heart enough that I could actually live it. I can embody it. I could actually be a part of this philosophy. And it drives me, it animates me, it moves me. So, the freedom to dream. So my question to you to start with today is, are you free to dream? You know, we all talk about, what's your dream for your life? You know what? We should stop saying that. What's your dream for your life? Let's replace dream with intention. What's your intention for your life? What are you really planning on doing with your life? Not just what are your dreams. Dreams sometimes get a bad rap because dreaming is important. I am free to dream. I have given my Tony Award acceptance speech so many times. Anybody else in this room? Yeah, even Connie's given it, and she's never been on Broadway. You've given it, right? I've given my Oscar speech so many. Have you given yours ever, Will? Of course you have, yes. Nora and I used to joke with each other all the time. Actually, one day, we each gave it, we did for each other our acceptance speech. I then noticed that she didn't thank me in hers, so I had to talk to her about that. I thanked everybody I knew. It was a very long speech. She did thank you, by the way. Yeah. So, are we free to dream? Yeah, we are. But sometimes dreams can be something we put way out here, and they're unreachable because they stay dreams. And we're also free to do that, to put it out here, and wherever we walk, it's just there at a distance. So how do we incorporate it? So in one of the lyrics, it says, "In my dreams, I think it's safe to say I'm free." Well, yeah, it is. But here's the thing. Ernest Holmes says this: mind never could be unconscious. So in my dreams, in my mind, it's safe to say I'm free. Everything that you think, everything that you believe, all of it are dreams of some sort that manifest in your life some way. Everything you do. So it's not just that you dream something and it goes away. You dream something and it fills into this subconscious mind. And I don't usually do this certainly on a Sunday, but I'm doing it today. And I realized some of the Ernest Holmes quotes that I have not read in a long time because I've moved on to other things. I went back and started reading this book again, Science of Mind and Spirit. And boy, when you read it at 65 years old, after 25, 26 years in this science, it means something very different. Every time I pick it up, it's like, did I ever read this? Did I ever read that part? It was amazing. So I want to give you this quote. Man thinks and supposes that he lets go of those thoughts. Man thinks and supposes that he lets go of those thoughts. So that means, Will, would you hand me my glasses? Thank you, Tonya. Thank you so much. So man thinks and supposes that he lets go of those thoughts. So do we ever really let go of our thoughts, our beliefs? Do we ever really let go of our dreams? I still have dreams when I was a little boy that I still have dreams. I have dreams of when I was 20 and did expect to win that Tony Award. I haven't let go of that dream. I haven't let go of an Oscar in my future. I haven't let go of an Emmy in my future. I haven't let go, neither has my husband, of a gigantic mansion with a huge estate in Palm Springs. Have you let go of that, Kevin? No. So there are dreams that we have, and Ernest Holmes says, man thinks and supposes that he lets go of those thoughts. No! You have not let go of any of your dreams. Even if you think you have, your subconscious mind, subjective mind, has it. Will not let go of it. Are you free to pick it up at any time and manifest it? Absolutely. In the song, it says, I put my thoughts to bed, but then I know that if I say goodnight, they might try to find me. Isn't that a great lyric? I put my thoughts to bed, but then I know that if I say goodnight, they might try to find me. So that's what happens. We think and we believe and we have these dreams. Then we go to sleep and our mind takes what we have put in there and makes it happen, makes it a reality. So I want to read you something from Ernest Holmes. He said, and I love this, I did not put the page down. Oh my God, and I'm not going to find it. Maybe it was 126. I think it was page 126. How about that? There's only one mind. So man thinks and supposes that he lets go of those thoughts. Now, just take a deep breath and hear what I'm about to read to you. Man thinks and supposes that he lets go of those thoughts, that he is finished with them, but such is not the case. For thought becomes subjectified in mind like a seed planted in the soil, and unless neutralized, it stays there and determines the attraction and repulsion in the experience of the one thinking. So it just stays there. You have to do something with it. You have to activate it or nullify it. It still stays there. He says there is a constant action on the subjective side of life, meaning there's a constant action in your mind. Your mind is always creating. And it is the unconscious process which decides what's going to happen. An unconscious process that decides what's going to happen. See, we all think we're in such great charge of our lives, and we are, but we let so much go on in our subjective mind, so much thinking, so many beliefs that don't serve us, that's still in there working it out for us. And he says, whatever we think, act, believe in, feel, visualize, vision, image, read, and talk about, in fact, all processes which affect or impress us at all are going into the subjective state of our thought, which is our individualized use of the universal mind. Whatever goes into the subjective state of your thought will return again as some condition. So we and we alone control our destiny. So when we're going to talk about dreams, how you use your mind is always going to find you. What you think, what you dream, what you believe is working out your life inside of your mind, no matter what. You can fight it. You can pretend it's not. And oh, do we pretend. In fact, let me read you a Rumi quote. He says, the breezes at dawn have secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. So there's a line in the song where it says, it's safe to say I'm going to have to wake up someday. Today, my Global Truth Center family, is my wake-up call to you, to wake up and don't go back to sleep, because I fear we have been taking way too many naps. We have been sleeping off what's going on in the world. We have been sleeping off our own dreams. We have been going to sleep and just hoping and wishing and whatever those other words are. We've been somehow putting them on hold and thinking, well, they'll work themselves out. No, they won't. They will only work themselves out if you work them out. So Rumi says, don't go back to sleep. Well, okay. Frankly, there's no one watching today, I don't think. And I could be wrong, because if someone's tuned in for the first time, perhaps you. But those of you that watch me and are part of this center and certainly are in my classes, you cannot say that you are not awake, because you are. Once you know the truth, you can't pretend you don't know it. So you are awake. The question is, how often do you go back to sleep? How often do you let yourself slip into the less than, slip into the, oh, but maybe, oh, but then that happened, oh, but the world is so scary right now, oh, but blah, 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 all the yeah buts and all the excuses? That's you going back to sleep. If you're not willing to really look at your life and say, this is what I want, and this is what I am equal to, end of sentence. And don't get into the whole argument with yourself in your mind of like, yeah, but I don't have the education, and I'm not in the right body, and blah, 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 blah. Aren't you tired of it? I am tired of it in my own life, in those very small moments when it happens. But it still happens. And I'm now deciding, there is a wake-up call in the wind right now in our country. You are awake. The question is, how many more naps you're willing to take? We, as a caring nation of people, have got to wake up and realize that the use of our mind is creating the experience we're all living in right now. We have been asleep as a country for years. And I'm not saying just the last 4 years for anyone that thinks I'm being political. I'm not. We have been asleep as a country since the moment someone landed on this earth here in America and decided to take out the Indians. We have been asleep since anyone has ever decided to take something from someone else without giving it back. That's what I'm talking about. And we as people, it is time for us, as Rumi says, to wake up and not go back to sleep. Congressman John Lewis, who we just put to rest yesterday, who I am a huge fan of. I think that man was just seeing the pictures of him standing with Martin Luther King on those lines. It shows you where this man came from and why he got what he got yesterday and what he continues to get this whole weekend. His quote is this: if you see something, say something, and then do something. If you see something, say something, and then do something. I think we have spent way too long seeing what we're seeing and not saying enough, not saying what we need to say. And I am not talking about making anyone wrong. I am not talking about choosing one political party over another. I am not talking about any of it. I'm talking about standing up as a spiritual human being and saying, I know who I am, I know who you are. Here's what I see happening. That is not living our highest self. It is time for us all to say something. But more importantly, what John Lewis said was, yes, see something, yes, say something, do something. My son did something. He went and walked in the protests. He went and did what he needed to do as a citizen of this country to speak his mind and do what was his to do. That was doing something. But the doing something that I'd like to talk about today, along with that and the things we need to do, I'd like to talk to us today. I see something, and I am saying what I see. I see a world where people are not seeing one another honestly, and they are not treating each other honestly, and they are not respecting one another's rights. And it's all about this. It's all about greed. If you affect my money, I can't stand up and say anything because it's more important that I make sure my money's okay. That is not okay. not for a spiritual person who knows who he or she is. That is not okay. So if you see something, say something, but do something. And here's what we need to do. It is imperative that we stay awake, that we stay awake, that we do not go back to sleep, that we do not allow the people that are in a deep state of sleep, that have just dozed off into oblivion and are still active. It is not okay to let that be our normal. It is time for us to wake the hell up. And I mean wake the hell up and say, we are of heaven. This is who we are. See something, say something, do something. So this week, this month, in the first week I asked you, are you free? And everybody, of course, said yes. And then I talked about that first Sunday, the tug of war that goes on inside. And I've had a lot of tug of war lately. The Rumi quote talks about the thin veil between here and there. That's my tug of war. You know, I would like to see Nora more than just seeing her on a screen. But it's going to take me to evolve to be able to get rid of that thin veil and recognize that we're all here at all times, no matter what. And while that is philosophical, I have to somehow raise my mind and my heart and my soul up to that philosophical truth so that I can find her in the ocean, in the trees, on a cross-country trip, wherever. So, not going back to sleep. So I asked about this tug of war. It's time for us to stop the tug of war. As I said then, first week, let go. Let them fall. Let it all fall apart. Actually, it's all falling apart. So that's good. We have let our country, our world, kind of fall apart. But you know what our job is? Let go. Let it all just fall to hell in a handbasket. Love that expression. And then wake up and start putting it back together. See something, say something, do something. And then on week 2, Donia sang, think. And I asked you to think about it. And I read you the Joe Dispenza quote. You cannot be free within your comfort zone. You cannot be free in your story. The price of freedom is uncertainty. For those of you out there who are afraid and fearful about what's going to happen, I can tell you what's going to happen. If you want me to tell you, I'm happy to tell you. What is going to happen is this. It is going to unfold perfectly. Period, end of sentence. It can't not. That's how we roll as a spiritual species. It will unfold perfectly. That doesn't mean it's perfect right now. Certainly not the vision of it, not the relative world of it. But if you stay awake and don't go back to sleep, if you stay active and you allow yourself to speak your mind and say what you want to say what you want to say. What's that song? Say what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. That's what I want to see us all being. Brave. Brave enough to say what we see and then do something about it. And the doing is staying awake. Because you're going to need to be awake to put all this back together when the craziness ends. You're going to need to be wide awake and not see anyone as your enemy and not see anyone as wrong and not get all involved in the tug of war and the fight. But be, as Ernest Holmes says, the one person who sees the world from the truth, who is for something and against nothing. I'm going to need all of us to be those people that are wide awake and willing to put it all back together. And then this week, your responsibility to dream. To dream. I do have a dream. It just sounded a little bit like Martin Luther King as I said that. Can I give you those? I do have a dream. And my dream is a very strong intention. And it's a dream and an intention and a truth that everyone in this world wakes up and realizes who they are. And realizes that God is not some divisive invention that mankind made up to keep people controlled. That God is not turned into something negative for all those who cannot resonate with an angry, vengeful God. And forget that we also teach of the loving God. I have a dream that we wake up and all of that nonsense is gone. And everyone realizes and recognizes that they are God. And as God, we have a responsibility to live from that consciousness. And that means we have to start by seeing something in ourselves and in others, seeing God everywhere we go, and then say something about it. I'm going to invite you to stop being so afraid to know who you are. Stop being so afraid to say who you are. I don't mean you have to walk into Starbucks and say, I'm God, put God on my cup. Because you might be seen a little, you've done that already? Connie, I love her. Reverend Connie. But to start really actively living from this truth, you don't have time. You do not have the time that you're all taking trying to play with this idea and say, I sort of feel okay with it, but not really. And wake up. Because when you wake up, you know the truth. Every one of us knows the truth. Within each one of us is the truth. It is an ancient wisdom that was here long before people were here. There is an energized, energetic field of truth that is right here bubbling up within each of us. So say something about it. See it in yourself and then say something about it. And then do something about it, which means don't go back to sleep. Don't be willing so quickly to just doze off and take a nap. I'm done. Because I will tell you this week, when my friend Robin died, there was a part of me that was done. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I can't watch anybody else die. I can't watch anybody else leave. I can't watch there be this separation in the world. That lasted about a minute. And then I just came right to, what can I do about this? Because clearly, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm also not afraid to talk. I'm not afraid to say what I see. And I'm not afraid to do something about it. So it is time. Global Truth Center, now an independent New Thought church, needs to step out in the world and really understand I am God and what that means. It doesn't mean you are better than anyone else. It means that everyone is as good as you. Everyone. We are all that one thing. So I close this month out with that magnificent quote from John Lewis, which is, see it, say it, and do it. And do it now. Namaste. Thank you.